The gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Ranking Member Granger, and I want to thank Chairwoman Lowy. I want to thank you both for your leadership and expertise throughout this process. I would like to also acknowledge the work of Chairman Visklosky. Mr. Chairman, I'm grateful for your dedication to the U.S. service members, our national security, your willingness to listen and work with us to put together this bill. I very much appreciate the bipartisan way in which you've managed the Defense Subcommittee. It's been an honor to work with you, and I look forward to finishing our work on time. There's a lot of good work in this bill. However, the United States faces an increasingly challenging geopolitical landscape, one that requires a strong U.S. military to help maintain global peace and stability. While we've been at war in the Middle East for nearly 2 decades, other regions of the world have been watching us and chipping away at our military superiority. Unfortunately, the funding levels recommended in this bill are inadequate to enable us to address the needs of our military and maintain our superiority over our adversaries. The fiscal year 2020 defense bill before the House today includes $622 billion in base funding and another $68 billion in overseas contingency operations, or OCO funding, for a total of $690 billion. The amount is roughly $8 billion less of $690 billion. The amount is roughly $8 million less than the request, This funding level is not adequate to address the myriad issues that we face around the world, including an increasingly aggressive Russia. Just last week, a Russian destroyer came dangerously and recklessly close to one of our vessels in the Philippine Sea. Shortchanging defense funding would send the wrong message to our adversaries. Let's be clear. We do not want a fair fight. Funding the department is to ensure our advantage over any threat is the best deterrent to war. In addition to low funding levels in the bill, it includes a number of troubling provisions adopted in committee, including a new restriction on the department's ability to provide lawful assistance to other agencies in combating the real crisis of our southern border. We cannot continue to ignore the reality along the southern border. The sheer numbers of people coming across our borders in the hundreds of thousands now require the use of military bases to house migrants. The situation is untenable, and the Congress must update our immigration laws to make the process more rational and enforceable. Restricting the President's ability to address the crisis will only make the problem worse and put more people at risk as they embark on a dangerous journey. I'm also concerned with the language striking the authorization of use of military force. This provision would repeal the current authorization 240 days after enactment. This is a serious topic that needs to be debated by the authorizing committees. Including this language in an appropriation bill with little debate, no committee hearings or witnesses, is not the correct way to address this matter. Broadcasting to our enemies the stop date of any military operation is reckless and irresponsible. Then there's the issue of numbers. In divided government, bipartisanship is essential. Unfortunately, until we reach agreement on the top-line spending levels that the President will also support, I remain concerned that the defense funding bill will be crafted in an environment in which we have no budgetary certainty. Without a top-line budget agreement and a 2-year deal between the House, the Senate, and the White House to relieve the budget caps put in place by the Budget Control Act, we are making spending decisions we're not making decisions based in reality. If we cannot come to an agreement on budget caps deal, we face sequestration in the coming year. The impacts would reverse all the progress on readiness and modernization we have achieved over the last 2 years. Sequestration would cut $20 billion from the Navy, $29 billion from the Air Force. It would stop 100 Army programs. We need all the parties to come together at the table now and make the tough but critical budget decisions. We know all too well how devastating budgetary ambiguity in continuing resolutions can be for the defense planning and the real-world impact it has on training and readiness and the quality of life issues. That's a recipe for disaster for both our military and the American people, and that's why I cannot support this bill at this time. I want to work with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to develop bills for the fiscal year 2020 that meet our nation's defense and border security priorities in a fiscally responsible manner. Given the Chairman's nature, I'm sure that he will be able to be an able partner and lead an effort to strike a budget agreement, and I'm certainly happy to help to avert sequestration. And finally, I'd like to thank the staff on both sides of the aisle for their hard work. I appreciate their diligence, and with that, thank you, Ranking Member Granger.